Good evening, Claude Bolling.
Good evening, Leigh.
It is a privilege to have you on the line as a preview of your concert coming up at the World Theater.
It's a pleasure for me.
To be able to talk to you about a number of things that I've been thinking about.
If my English permits me to answer to you.
Oh, you're doing beautifully. I wish I could say that I could speak impeccable French. The only thing I can say to you is...
For the next time.
Perhaps. I could say, comment allez-vous, monsieur?
Je vais bien, merci. En vacances, we have a day off, so it's like holidays.
Well, I've caught you in the Rocky Mountains in Boulder, Colorado, haven't I? You haven't been skiing, have you?
Oh, yes, I'm skiing. Not this year, but I used to ski for 36 years ago, and last year I was obliged to cancel a tour here in the United States because I've broke an ankle.
And in what mountain climate?
Huh?
In what mountain did you...
I was in the French Alps, like I used to be. And for the first time after all these years, I had a bad fall.
Well, that, fortunately was your ankle and not your elbow or hands.
Yes, but I wear gloves, I don't know the word in English, but with all the fingers in the same mitten. You say mitten?
Yes. Well protected.
So there is less risks.
Well, I hope you've healed well. I didn't want that to pass by. I hope you have healed.
It is practically like before. It's not completely, how can I say, exactly as before, but it's well.
Monsieur Bolling, I would like to just focus on your student years between Nice and Paris.
Yes.
The academic side, where you studied very hard, written music.
Oh, I didn't study very hard in the academic way. I started music when I was living in Nice with my mother during the war, but maybe you make reference of the Académie Nationale d'été de Nice, which was kind of conservatoire where I was teaching, but many years after, in about 15 years ago.
So you're really saying you didn't study academically?
No, I was not in any school of music and neither conservatories. I had very good private teachers, but my schools were nightclubs, jazz clubs, dance parties, musicals, and all these sort of places.
True and genuine life learning experience.
Yes.
As Milton Jackson of the Modern Jazz Quartet said, he attended the Harvard School of Music in Minton's in Harlem.
Ah.
And you were at the Club Saint Germain. And,
yes, that was one of my classrooms. Musical
festivals like the Paris Festival in 1947.
Yes, this was also the first jazz festival in France after the war, where I was a pianist of an old lady blues singer. Her name was Bertha Chippyhill.
Oh, one of the legends.
Yes,
one of the American legends.
At this time I had 17, and she was, I don't know, she was an old lady already. It was so that was one of the things. At the same festival we had for the first time Errol Garner in trio, and we had Coleman Hawkins, Owen McGee, and these musicians. And in the same year in Nice, there were also a big festival with Louis Armstrong All-Star, Milton Mesro, and Rex Stewart. And so at this time, I had opportunity also to work with Rex Stewart, and I've learned very much from him.
A marvelous man. I met him along the way.
Yes.
Your observations of Rex Stewart. He was a semi-round figure, a small man who played wonderful cornet.
Yes.
What were your observations of Rex, and what did
He
you learn?
was very patient, because when I realized as bad we were playing at this time,
You're modest.
I think he was really very nice with us, because he looked very happy to play some concerts with us and to record with me, and he always said very nice things about me, and he always seemed very happy to play with me. And when I realized, as I told you, that it was not so good, I think he was a very nice person.
Your other observations from Rexy Stewart. What did he communicate to you? Did he teach you some things that?
Anything that I've learned on the way Duke Ellington was working with his musicians, his orchestra. Of course, I took it from him, because he was telling the things, how things were happen, and things was set up, putting together, and he teach us with the small band that I have had at this time how to play the things that we wanted to play. That's it.
Well, certainly, Rexy Stewart was just one among many with whom you played. But if I mention the King of Paris, Sidney Bechet.
Yes. It was several years after. Bechet came in the 50s, and our collaboration with Rex was in the 48. Yes. For us at this time, it was 2 years was important, very important. After all this time, of course, it seems like to be in the same time.
What were your impressions? What did you hear in Sidney Bechet's
Sidney Bechet, we knew his recording, and the clarinet players and saxo-soprano players around me were very Sidney Bechet fanatics. So when he came and played a concert here in France and decided to stay for all of us, and that was a very great privilege, and we have also learned much from him, playing with him and listening from him.
And if I mention Don Byas, for example.
Don Byas also in another way. So this was Don Byas, and many others were the musicians who played a lot at the Club Saint-Germain, where we were playing ourselves regularly, and they were coming to jam with us, or to play in like a show, an attraction in the evening. So we had the opportunity to accompany him, and many others like Roy Eldridge, around Hot Lips Page, and
you have really grown with the tradition of.
Of course, because it was the music of this time.
Yes. This may seem rather an obvious question, but what is it in American jazz that holds a fascination for you, Claude Bolling?
It is difficult to explain.
It has apparently captured you.
The world is going that way now. Everyone is interested by what's coming from outside, more than what we have in our own environment. So that's the reason why Japanese are interested in jazz also, more than in traditional Japanese music. And that's the reason why America is not very interested in jazz, and more in other, maybe ethnic things.
In European classical music?
Oh, yes, I think so.
And for you, of course, was it a chance to break out and get away from the formality of the European classical idea?
We don't think, we don't calculate that way. I do not. I loved this music and I tried to play it. That's as simple than this. And I was more interested by this music, which was kind of mysterious for me than the thing that, as I told you, around me at this time, which was normal.
Claude Bolling, I know that on Sundays in Paris, on occasion, you're found at the Hotel Meridian with a big band, aren't you? Those Sunday brunches?
Yes.
With Monsieur Le Moustache lurking in the background?
It's a different place in the hotel than the Patio, that the Lionel Hampton Club. We, on the Sunday branch, play in the larger hall of the hotel, which is full of tables and buffet, and the stage for the band. It's a Sunday fiesta, and it's not in the club.
It sounds like a wonderful way to spend a Sunday in Paris.
It is very successful, and from the beginning, 2 years ago of this experience, it was a huge success, and we are very happy of that, because it gives to me the opportunity to make the band play more often than only the concerts that we used to play.
Well,
2 or 3 times a month.
Oh, it is 3 Sundays a month.
No, I mean, usually we play with this band 2 or 3 times a month for concerts, and because of this Sunday branch, we play more often, and it's good for the band. That's what I say.
I see. Well, it is a pleasure talking with you about not only Sunday brunch at the Hotel Meridian in Paris, but also those early days between Nice and Paris and the Club Saint-Germain and the many venues in which you currently appear, performing so many magic pieces of music that you've composed for players like Jean Pierre Rampal and Pinker.
And this was by chance when I meet this very great classical soloist and virtuosos who love jazz also, but don't play because they have no time for everything. And when you are a classical performer, you have no time to play jazz. But Jean Pierre, for example, has told me one day that he would like to have an experience with jazz musicians or with a jazz background or a jazz environment or partner. So, since it was a kind of challenge for me, because I could not imagine before that so great classical artist would ask me to write for him. So I've tried to do a piece, classical for the flute and more jazzy for the piano, and I showed him, he liked him, and he told me, let's do a record of it, because it sounds nice, I would like to do that. So we did, and I produced it in France very normally, and it came by chance to the ear of somebody at CBS Masterworks here in New York, and they wanted to release it to show a different aspect of the work of Jean Pierre Rampal, and immediately it came at the top of the charts, and it stayed for more than 500 weeks, which never happened before, they say, to any other record. So that was the start of a series of compositions of crossover music. After Jean Pierre Rampal, the guitarist Alexandre Lagoya, the violinist Pinkas Zuckerman, the cellist Yo-Yo Ma, Hubert Laws, which is not only classical but jazz also, and the English Chamber Orchestra, and some musicians like this.
Claude Bolling, that is a remarkable track record. After this lineup of suites that you've developed for flute, piano, violin, cello, and trumpet. What
yes,
are you?
trumpet also
Let's
for Maurice André.
let's talk about the future for a moment. What is the challenge now for you, both in performance and let's take
I started
composition?
to write a piece for two pianos, classical and jazz. A dialogue of two different styles of piano, and I have to go to the end of it. And another project will be, I don't know, maybe for a brass quintet. But in the meantime, I'm not doing only that in writing. I'm writing much for movie scores. So I'm writing these crossover classical pieces, classical jazz pieces in the middle of the between two films, moments like this.
You mean you're writing descriptive music for a film?
Yes, this is
So
my
this challenge.
main work. So my jazz work and concert work is in between.
What keeps those creative juices flowing?
What do you mean?
What keeps your creativity going?
I don't know.
You don't know. It's that well spirit.
It's just fun when somebody called me and said, "I just made I'm making a new film. This is the story. Are you interested?" Of course, it is what is the word? Exciting when the subject is good, when the actors are good, and so I work for these people, and I try to make the best music possible to help the film and to do something as original as possible in my point of view, and that is the challenge. And as well, when the musicians that I admire comes to me and ask me a work, it's very exciting also, and I try to be able to do it. That's the thing.
Well, it seems that you have covered a great many areas, from composition in the field of the medium of the concert hall, and then descriptive music for film, and then your adventures in the field of jazz, where you really improv a good deal of the way. What happens when you collide with Pinetop Smith and you perform Boogie Woogie?
Yeah, that's different.
That's very specific, isn't it?
That's also something come by a funny way. I was collaborating with a very famous and good TV producer who used to, in the good days, because now it's not like this, to make some jazz show at the TV. And he used to call these weekly shows Jazz Memories. So one day he came to me and said, "I would like to make a show on the ragtime history." So I didn't know well this music from far, and he gave me the printed sheets, original printed sheets, some records, and I practiced and worked a series of ragtime for this show. And it went well, so he told me, "You should make a record of it." It's the same, always the same story. So I've made a record of it. The record were successful. Then the record company told me, after the ragtime, do some boogies. And it's the same with boogies. And I've made, like this, for Philips France, a series of 5 piano solo albums. That it's always a request, a commitment.
Well, you have hundreds of commitments, I'm sure.
And it's fun, because each time it gives me opportunity to go more deeply in something that I would not have opportunity to practice.
Claude Bolling, it's a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for...
My English?
Your English is beautiful.
No. But I hope that you have understood me.
We certainly have. And in behalf of Minnesota Public Radio, thank you for taking time, and we welcome you to the cities come March 9th, 8 o'clock at the World Theater in St. Paul, Minnesota.
And I will be with a small group, with a jazz trio, with John Goldsby bass and my French drummer Vincent Cordelette. Then a young flutist from New York, Pam Lesclar. With her, we will play mostly the new Suite for Flute number 2 that we just released, that we recorded last year with Jean Pierre, and the guitarist Jack Wilkins, who plays as well classical and jazz. And with Jack Wilkins, we play some excerpts of the guitar concerto, and with the flute of Pamela and the guitar of Jack, we play also some excerpts of the Picnic Suite, which was recorded with Jean Pierre Rampal and Alexandre Lagoya. And we play also some trio and some jazz.
It sounds like an exciting program. Thank you again. It is good talking with you.
Dialogue.
A privilege. Good night.
Thank you.